I'm explaining Varokal Basar that Lasilovai, Venigleh Kvod Hashem, Varokal Basar, the Shaila was the Pasuk, the Chiddush, that even the Basar, the Iker, who sees Elikus, is the Neshama, the Nefesh. The Chiddush will be that even, that actually is a mind you can take if you want to use the text. You can show them with it. Adam. Page Reish Mem Hey, Ois Zion. So the Ike Chiddush, so it'll be a Chiddush then, that even the Basar will also, quote unquote, see godliness. That's not what the Pasuk says. It's not even. The Pasuk is implying that the Iker experience is the Guf. Varokal Basar. That's the primary experience. So surely it's the nefesh and even the guf. So the Maamar is explaining at great length. If you listen up, you'll understand better. Reuven, better not to read, and then you'll get something. So the Maamar is explaining that at great length, which I'm not going to repeat now, but the Nekuda is that there's the Nefesh and there's the Guf HaGashmi of every Nivra. And the Guf HaGashmi, the physical component of Doimim Tzemer, Chaim, Medab, of all of them, are all created, as we explained, by Sevev Kalalmin, which is an essential investure, no more or less in any creation, Be'etzem. Because it's not a greater miracle to create a universe or a pebble or a sand, or what's it called? A grain of sand out of nothing. Yesh ma'ayin, one is not a bigger miracle than the other at all. So the Inyan of Sevev Kalam, as we explained what yesh ma'ayin means. So that is responsible for the Davar Gashmi, which is the stupendous and impossible reality. That notwithstanding, and it can't be anything other than God, there's a creation. So it needs a direct investor of his ineffable self, and secondly, it's got to be ongoing. That's not the point of the Maamar here, but the point of the Maamar elsewhere, on which this is based largely, ultimately, that Yischatu Sabir, the creation must be ongoing. It must be ongoing because creation fundamentally cannot exist. It's fundamentally impossible. How does it exist? Because God is constantly doing the impossible. And the impossible needs a constant force. The possible doesn't. It's actualized once and that's it. But the impossible needs the constant force that is responsible for this impossible phenomena to continue ongoing unceasingly without a millisecond. Hence, creation must be ongoing because yesh ma'ayin, something from nothing. Something from nothing is nothing. How's it here? It's being brought into being every moment. The truth is, nothing is also not an accurate word, as we said, because nothing is no thing. So it's already saying something about it. It's not. It's an indirect description of an indirect description. We have no words. We say nothing, no thing. The Bem is ayin, efes hamuchlet is beyond no thing. Akoponim, so that is the hisavos of the guf, the physicality of all of existence, which is a bria yesh ma'ayin. In contrast to the nefesh, without repeating the whole Maamar again, but in contrast to the nefesh, so the nefesh is a consequence or an expression of mamala kalalmin. And mamala kalalmin, to begin with, is a level of elikus that is already expressed in a systemized way by God's choice. So mamala kalalmin, there's endless levels and dargis, hence elikim is in the plural. And that's what's responsible for the nefesh. That the whole arichas of each creature, including the daimim. The daimim also has the nefesh, as explained, as contemporary science has made us appreciate or discovered. So the Kvod of that is the background really to the point of the Maamar, is to explain why we have to eat now and not lasted love. The Emir says it's not entirely clear to me, the Hasbara, which tells you the Isis that the Maamar says, why we need to eat now. Why can the guf not be sustained? Seems like there's two reasons in the Maamar. Why can't the guf be sustained by the Seviv Kalman that's invested in the guf? So he said two things. First of all, the in Seviv Kalman, as we explained without repeating this now, we have to go further, that there are levels, and the lower forms of life are rooted in higher levels in Daim Tzemer Chaim Adam, which is why every form of life requires a lower form to sustain it, not a higher form. Vegetation needs the inanimate world, and the animal world needs vegetation, and the medaber needs, that's the need necessarily, but he is sustained by all of the lower forms. That's because the lower forms have a higher source. In addition to that, it's the koyach hamafti lases. The question is, what is going to, it seems it's one answer, but unite nefesh and guf? That's the question. The guf comes to Seviv Kalalmin, the nefesh and malak kalalmin, but what unites them? That's the koyach hamafti lases, which is the words of the Ramah, by the way, are the words he says in the Maamar, and the Ramah on the bracha of Ashiyotza, Ashiyotza, the koyach hamafti lases, this wondrous power that unites gvul and bli gvul, which is what we're talking about here. Seviv Kalalmin, which is this infinite expression of the divine, and malak kalalmin, which is drastically structured and systemized. So what unites them is the koyach hamafti lases. It seems from the Maamar, not 100% clear, but it seems in the Maamar that the highest shorish of the daimim, or the tzemeach that the human being needs to survive, that is the koyach hamafti lases, a more atmizdike expression in Seviv Kalalmin. As we've learned in other Maamarim at great length, that Seviv Kalalmin is a general term for the transcendent, but within that there are profound levels. The Mo'ir, etc. So within Seviv Kalalmin, which is overall is this infinite power that can create, within that, the essential property of it is invested or expressed in the lower forms of creation. As we explained, that the Yesha Nivra, the Daimim is the ultimate expression of the Yesha Amiti, because the Daimim is the only creation that says, I am, in the purest way. All other levels say, I do, I feel, I grow. There's an aspect of tzir, of form. I love, I fear. Even in the animal world, different temperaments, obviously they're alive and have profound instincts, but even the plant world. But the daimim says I am. And that I am of the daimim is expressive of the I am of God in the deepest way. The Yesha Amiti is expressed, invested in the most direct way, as it were, in the Yesha Nivra. Just parenthetically, it's important to appreciate, therefore, that our ego, which is our downfall, the whole downfall is our ego. That is the problem. There is no other. Everything else is an expression of that. The emphasis is that the I am, which is, all I know is me. I think, therefore I am. I just know that I exist. It's the ultimate selfishness. The ultimate selfishness is really a corrupted expression of the I am of God, which then means, don't destroy this. Don't destroy the I am. But understand that the I am, you're everything to God. That's true. Your naturally selfish nature, that all I know is me. not sure that you exist. I believe you do, but I'm really not 100% sure. That's true. You are everything to the Eibishter. And the I am, Atzmos, this Avakadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter's desire for a dwelling place in this world is you. So therefore surrender to it, not surrender to this truth, with all of the I am that you are. It's all needed. Akoponim, let's go back to the point of the Maimeh.
One last question. So before you get, this still doesn't answer the question that was posed yesterday. If both the food and the guf gashmi are both come from Seviv Kalalmim, and you're saying that within Seviv Kalalmim, the Michael, the food, is from a higher level, and that's why it sustains the person.
That's why it can be Mekasher, the Nefesh, and the Guf.
Correct. So why is this integral component not integral when loss of love comes? If it's a higher level of Seviv Kalalmim, it should be even more expressed when in Tchiyas Mason.
I think the simple answer is because Atzmos is revealed in his pure, undisguised, unfiltered being, and therefore there's no need for this whole dynamic that he spoke earlier, that the higher source, because it's rooted high and it comes lower, therefore it nourishes the person. If we're going directly, Venigleh Kvod, and the guf is refined to be able to receive directly from Atzmos, then there's no need for this whole dynamic of a higher source. In other words, it's the source. If the source is revealed, then, as I said yesterday, everything then will be then brought into being equally. What I'm saying is, we said it yesterday, B'kitzer, by Tchiyas HaMeisim, nothing's a means for an end anymore. Now, the way the world works, one thing serves the other. And that's even true of Torah and Mitzvahs. Torah and Mitzvahs is a means. You do Torah and Mitzvahs in order to elevate the world. But once the world's elevated, who needs Torah and Mitzvahs? The whole point is the Bir HaNitzutzis. It's done. Now what? So
therefore, it'll be expressed. So he's trying to say that therefore.
Let me just to elaborate. What I'm sharing with you is, remember, it's Mavur Chassidus, but it's really laid out most exquisitely in the Kuntres Mitzvahs Betelis Lasid Lavai Shama in Hillel. I think we learned it. Did we not? We should if we didn't. We did learn it years ago. The point being, I just finished the point that explains that by Tchiyas HaMeisim, mitzvahs don't have an agenda anymore. It's not about fixing the world. The world's fixed. It's home. So now what? Now just live. Be there. Be there. So every aspect of creation will express the I am of God in the purest way, not as a means for something else. The means that whole means has been achieved. Now the essence suffuses every detail. In that sense, equally. So therefore, not just the guf, but the daimim, tzemech, and chaim, and everything. It's not a question of a higher level in Seviv Kalalmim. It's all part of the complicated. It is complicated, simple but complicated. A system that's required now, till in the process of refining the world. But once the world is refined, then everything is direct. It seems, therefore, that the chai will not need the daimim. Nothing will need anything else. Not just the guf won't need, but to eat. Nothing will require anything else. And all a direct, seamless expression of the Eibishter himself. Nothing serves anything else.
So can we say that when Mashiach comes, and it's going to be Tchiyas HaMeisim, the Eibishter is the Atzmos is beicher in the neshama, even though and the food, even though before Mashiach came, the food was a means to an end to be mekasher the nefesh with the guf. I choose, nevertheless, the guf gashmi without the means, even though before the means were come from a higher source.
Okay, I guess you can say that, but just to add to that, that the choice, there's one choice. There's one choice. Who's that tachten? Me and you. Once that's achieved, that's reflected in all of creation. All of creation is part of and expressive of that choice. That's like a home. A home reflects in every detail, in Adrabah, the smallest details, the people that live there. And like a home is not a means for an end either. You don't go home in order to. You work in order to. You eat in order to. It's like you eat in the house, but fundamentally, a home is not in order to. That's just where you are one with your soulmates, your wife, your children, your spouse. It's not a moment to get somewhere. We're doing this in order to. This is the moment. This is it. The Pnimius HaRatzon. And the home reflects that. Every detail of the home reflects. It expresses these people. As we said, her primarily. She's the Akeres Abai. She's the Nekuda Atzmis of Neshamas Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael. The Balabosta, it's her home. It's everybody's home, expressed in embraced by her. So what happens? Every detail of the home, it's not more, let me add these words. It's not like one detail of the home is more the home than another detail. Big or small, it's the home. This is the home. It's not about function. Function is in a hotel, toilet, bathroom, your kitchen. Somebody else's house that you're visiting is for you a place of function, although it has the same things you have in your home. The difference is you have it like this and this color, it's there and there, and it's in the non-functional details that make it your home. The non-functional things, the non-means for an end property. That's how I like it. I just like it here, this color and that, this design. That expresses the I am. So Allah will express the I am of God in every detail of creation. Fundamentally, because of his one bchira, his choice of the Yid, his Ava Kadosh Baruch Hu of the Yid. And what's the choice of the Yid? Dafke. I want to be one with you where? In the Guf Gashmi, in the Elam Hazeh, in this Tacht. Why? This Ava Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's what I chose to want. What are you missing? Nothing. What are you gaining? Nothing. That's I want. Just want you.
Thank you. Even though it didn't answer the question completely, but shkoyach anyway.
Okay, try it.
Good try. Got to think about it.
Okay, let's go further in the last few lines. Top of page Reish Mem Hey. So as opposed to the neshama. Okay, this is completely lo pashut because, okay, let's just finish these few lines. It's a goof that's rooted in Sev Kalam, and the nefesh, Mamala Kalam. The nefesh comes from Atzilus, Chachmad Atzilus. Alasha nefesh tazbil aguf. The nefesh will explain to the body. The nefesh will explain to the guf what you are privy to. You are being. He needs to be explained. Exactly what this means, I cannot tell you. But the nefesh will explain to the guf, and to the guf should appreciate the direct investment of the Eibishter of Atzmos to create you out of nothing. And before we even try to explain this, we have to add the following. This should not be misconstrued into thinking that the kavanah is the guf per se. Still not. It's not the ultimate statement here. The kavanah is the neshama. But the neshama in the guf. Neshama in the guf. When he said earlier that neshama comes from Malak Kalalmin, Chachma Datzilus, that's the immediate shirish of the neshama. We speak about shirashim. The guf is from Toihu, Soivev/Toihu. The neshama, the nefesh of all things, come from Nishtalshalus, and the neshama from the highest levels, Atzilus. The behemoth, that is just where the neshama emerges as an entity to be described in some ways in the Shama. The emes and Shama is a chelik lekam mal mamish. We pointed out once, Yesh Loima, that in these words, that Rebbe is hinting to this. Yes, chelik leka, that's mitzad malakam. Mal is already sovev, and mamish is atzmos. But he speaks in Tanya. He starts at the starting point of where we can speak of an identity of a neshama. Before that, the neshama is mushish and atzmos. We can't speak of an identity. It's God. All the machshava and neshamas, the be'emes, that's what the neshama is. Neshama is chelik of atzmos, and that's the kavana. The kavana is that atzmisdik truth be revealed here, lamata, as the neshama is in the guf. This is all part of the process, but we shouldn't conclude here. You could, from this only, kavana is the guf, and the nefesh is the means. It's going to explain to the guf its mila. It's in the nefesh explaining the mila to the guf that the nefesh connects to atzmos, unlocks its own source. In other words, as we said yesterday, this is the maim that you all said before the chasna. It's all the same nekuda. That malchus is rooted deeper than Zoh, but it's Zoh that explains that, as it were, to malchus, through being the mashpia. And then in the end, Zoh ends up therefore connecting to the source of malchus, which is higher than Zoh could possibly ever access, through malchus. But malchus is being masbir. Zoh is being masbir, as it were. That's the hashpah. That's the nevesh tazbil agufas agil. Anyway, we'll revisit this.
A marshal you can give.
Yeah.
Yoel is going to be masber a pasha to shliach. That's the verstehst nicht. You're where it's at.
Okay. Tzarich iyum, we have to think a lot, and we'll come back Monday. Maybe we'll be clever. We'll have offer. We won't be cleverer. Why would be cleverer? We might become wiser if we think deeply. Okay. The Maimon gives us the words. We have to heart of it. I told you that the famous mashpia, Shilim Kuratin, he died very young and one of the most outstanding figures in the history of Lubavitch, Shilim. So he used to sit in the zal. He was the mashpia to give shiurim, but he would sit in the zal and just think. Just think. If a boch would come up to him, so he would answer his question. And we said, what have to think in the zal? You can go into his office and think for sure. He said, what have to think in the zal? It was a big pnimi, tremendous pnimi. It could have been the instructions that Rebbe Rashab, but the basic message was, you have to think long and hard, to toil, talking to Ruchnius, and to have some measure of understanding, which is, at the end of the day, we're just learning about it. It's like a blind man learning about colors. It's cold color, it's a warm color, or a colorblind person, I should say. To toil. So the Bachim should know that these 3-4 hours uninterrupted, thinking of one subject.